Welcome to DriverDTrains. Thanks for stopping by. I'm your host, DriverD. Our conductor and brakeman, Scratchy-C, is currently on a break. In December 2024, DCC-EX announced the release of the DCC-EX EX-CSB1 Express, an all-in-one plug-and-play command station and booster. In previous videos, we discussed how to get one, connect it to our layout, and use it to run our trains. Although the EX-CSB1 comes fully assembled and pre-installed with the latest version of the DCC-EX EX-CommandStation software, we may want to connect the EX-CSB1 to our home Wi-Fi network for easier access, or add EX-Rail automation scripts to the EX-CSB1, like those we developed together in my recent series of videos on automating trains using DCC-EX EX-Rail. And eventually, we are going to want to update the DCC-EX EX-CommandStation software to a newer version. In my last video, we looked at how to do those things using the DCC-EX EX installer. In this video, we'll learn how to use the Arduino IDE, Integrated Development Environment, to configure the EX-CSB1. These lessons will also apply to any other DCC-EX command station. Be sure to check this video's description for links to my other videos, as well as the various websites and products I mention here. Also, if you are enjoying the videos, please leave a comment and hit the like button. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. There's no time like the present, so let's get started. Configure DCC-EX EX-CSB1 with Arduino IDE. In my last video, we learned how to configure the DCC-EX EX-CSB1 using the DCC-EX EX installer. Now let's take a look at how to do that using the Arduino IDE. Here are all our train orders for today's route. First, we'll download and install the Arduino IDE. Then we'll launch the Arduino IDE and use the board manager to add support for ESP32 microcontrollers to the IDE. After that, we'll download or copy the EX-CommandStation software and copy any existing configuration files we have into our Documents folder. Then we'll connect the EX-CSB1 to our computer and upload our newly configured EX-CommandStation code to the EX-CSB1. Finally, we'll look at how we can customize the EX-CommandStation code using the Arduino IDE and try an example for ourselves. Sound the horn because it's time to leave the station. Configure DCC-EX EX-CSB1 with Arduino IDE. Download and install the Arduino IDE. We can download the Arduino IDE from the Arduino website. Remember that the Arduino website address is arduino.cc, not .com. Then we'll select the Software tab at the top of the page. Next, we choose what type of computer we're using in the Download Options box. We will be asked if we want to contribute or just download the software. We'll click Just Download for now. Finally, we'll be asked if we want to subscribe to the Arduino newsletter. Again, we'll click the Just Download button. The Arduino IDE will now be downloaded to our computer. We'll find the file we downloaded in our Downloads folder. On the Mac, this will be a disk image. We'll double-click to open the disk image. We can then drag the icon for the IDE app on top of the alias to our Applications folder, and our computer will copy the file. We can then close and eject the disk image. Windows users will find the IDE installer in their Downloads folder. We'll double-click on the installer, agree to the terms, and click Next, and then Install, and the installer will install the IDE in our User Programs folder. When the installer is done, we can click Finish, and it will launch the Arduino IDE. We will also find a shortcut to the IDE on our desktop. Add support for ESP32 to the Arduino IDE. Next, we'll add support for the ESP32 to the Arduino IDE. The DCC-EX EX-CSB1 is based on an ESP32 microcontroller. So in order to configure the EX-CSB1 using the Arduino IDE, we need to add support for the ESP32. We do this by adding an internet web address to the Arduino IDE's settings or preferences. I'll include the address in this video's description, but I'll also show you how to find it on the DCC-EX website. First, from the DCC-EX homepage, expand the EX-CommandStation menu item in the left-hand sidebar menu. Then expand the entry for DIY Advanced Options, and then under that, expand the entry for Microcontroller Boards. Then we'll click the entry that says ESP32 Recommended. Then we'll scroll to the very bottom of the web page that appears to where it says Adding ESP32 support to the Arduino IDE. There, we'll click the link to the official Espressif guide. Finally, on the Espressif docs page, we'll copy the link near the top of the page where it says Installing using Arduino IDE. We can choose the Stable Release link. No need to live dangerously here. If we hover our mouse over the link, a copy icon button will appear at the right. We can click this button to copy the link to our computer's clipboard. We can then exit our web browser. Now we'll launch the Arduino IDE we previously downloaded. We can find it in our Mac's application folder. Windows users can find a shortcut to the IDE on our Windows desktop. The first time we launch the IDE, our computer will ask us if we're sure we want to open it. We'll say yes. Now, to add ESP32 support to the Arduino IDE, we'll open the IDE's Preferences window by selecting Settings from the Arduino IDE menu on a Mac or Preferences on a PC. At the bottom of the Preferences window, we'll look for the box that says Additional Boards Manager URLs. We'll click the button to the right of this box and paste the URL we copied from the Espressif docs page. Then we'll click OK to close the Boards Manager window and OK again to close the Preferences window. Then we'll open the Arduino Boards Manager by clicking on the icon at the left just below the folder icon that looks like the outline of an Arduino Uno. In the text box at the top where it says Filter Your Search, we'll type ESP32. Then we'll look for the entry that says ESP32 by Espressif Systems. Now we need to select the correct version to install. At the time of the making of this video, DCC-EX is only compatible with version 2.0.17 or possibly older of the ESP32 board package, so we'll need to select version 2.0.17 from the drop-down menu. Then we can click Install. We should see some messages from the Arduino IDE as it installs the new board package, with a success message when it is done. Note that because we have installed an older version of the ESP32 board package, from now on, every time we launch the Arduino IDE, it will ask us if we want to update our board packages. We do not want to update the ESP32 board package, so we need to click Later. We can now quit the Arduino IDE. Download or copy DCC-EX EX-CommandStation. Now let's get a copy of the DCC-EX EX-CommandStation software. We can either download a fresh copy from the DCC-EX GitHub page or make a copy of the CommandStation EX folder that EX-Installer created for us in the last video. If we simply want to customize a version of the EX-CommandStation software that we already have on our CommandStation, then the easiest thing to do is to make a copy of our current CommandStation EX folder. If we used the EX-Installer to install EX-CommandStation, as shown in my last video, we will find that folder inside the EX-Installer folder in our Home User folder. We can make a copy of the folder and place it on our desktop. If we want to use a fresh copy of the EX-CommandStation software or update to a newer version, we can download a copy from the DCC-EX GitHub page. We'll go to the DCC-EX homepage in our web browser and click on the Prod button in the EX-CommandStation Releases box at the top right of the page. We will use the EX-CommandStation GitHub link lower down on the page where it says EX-CommandStation Repository. Note that at the time of this video, DCC-EX had not updated its official release page with a version of DCC-EX that supports the EX-CSB1, as they have been more focused on using GitHub functionality to support the EX installer. So we'll click on the EX-CommandStation GitHub link. Then, on the DCC-EX GitHub page, we'll click the green Code button and select Download Zip from the menu. This will download the EX-CommandStation software to our Downloads folder. We can now quit our web browser. In our Downloads folder, we'll double-click to open the zip file we just downloaded, and we should see the CommandStation EX Master folder appear. We can drag this folder to our desktop. We then need to rename the folder to be just CommandStation EX. Now, whether we copied the folder from EX Installer or downloaded it from GitHub, we should have a CommandStation EX folder on our desktop. Now we'll go to our Documents folder and look to see if there is an Arduino folder already there. If not, we'll create one. Then we can drag the CommandStation EX folder from our desktop into the Arduino folder in our Documents folder. Note that if we have previously used the Arduino IDE to install DCC-EX, there may already be another version of EX-CommandStation in the Arduino Documents folder. If so, we'll need to rename that other older version to something else so that we can copy in our new folder. The last thing we want to do before we open EX-CommandStation in the Arduino IDE is copy over any of our existing configuration files into the new CommandStation EX folder we just created. If we previously used EX Installer and saved our configuration files in a My EX Installer folder or other location, as I described in my last video, we'll find the configuration files there. We can copy these configuration files into the CommandStation EX folder in the Arduino folder in our Documents folder. If we don't have or don't want to use any existing configuration files, then we'll need to create a config.h sketch in order to use the Arduino IDE with the EX-CSB1. The default config.example.h sketch won't work. So if we don't have a config.h sketch, we'll copy or duplicate the config.example.h sketch and rename it config.h. We'll edit it to work with the EX-CSB1 in a moment in the Arduino IDE. Upload EX-CommandStation to the EX-CSB1. Now we need to connect our DCC-EX EX-CSB1 CommandStation to our computer using a USB cable. As I mentioned in the last video, we need to make sure we use a USB-C data cable, not just a charging cable. We'll also want to make sure we plug it into a USB port on our computer rather than a hub until we know it works. Then we can open the CommandStation EX.ino sketch in the Arduino IDE by double-clicking its icon in the CommandStation EX folder. If we did not copy our own config.h sketch to the CommandStation EX folder and instead made a copy of the config.example.h file, we'll need to edit the new config.h sketch to work with the EX-CSB1. We can navigate to this sketch using the three dots menu in the upper right corner of the IDE window. The Arduino IDE sorts capital letters before lowercase letters, so the config.h sketch will be listed near the bottom of the window. There are three things we need to configure: the motor shield, the OLED display, and our Wi-Fi settings. So we'll scroll down to around line 59 in the config.h sketch where it says #define motor shield type and change the standard motor shield to EX-CSB1. Then we'll scroll down a little further to line 110 or thereabouts where it says #define Wi-Fi SSID and change the your network name to the name of our home Wi-Fi network. We need to make sure that we put the name in quotes. Then we replace the Your Network Password a few lines lower down with our Wi-Fi network password, again in quotes. Finally, we scroll down to about line 163 and add the definition for the EX-CSB1's OLED display. We do this by typing #define OLED_driver 132, 64. There are no quotes, and we need to make sure that OLED_driver is all in capital letters. Now we need to select the COM port that the EX-CSB1 is connected to, set the board to be the ESP32 dev module, and set the communication speed. There are a couple of different ways to do this, depending on whether we have previously configured our DCC-EX command station in the Arduino IDE. We can use the drop-down menu in the top left corner of the IDE window to either select the port the EX-CSB1 is connected to from the list, or choose Select Other Board and Port from the bottom of the menu. We can also click on one of the pencil icons in the menu to accomplish the same thing. Then, in the dialog box that appears, we need to make sure that the port the EX-CSB1 is connected to is selected. Again, as we discussed in the last video, if there is more than one port listed and we are not sure which one the EX-CSB1 is connected to, we can unplug the EX-CSB1 from our computer, note which ports are still listed, then plug the EX-CSB1 back in and see which new port appears. Then, in the board's search box, we'll type ESP32 dev mod. We want the one at the top of the list that just says ESP32 dev module without any extra qualifiers. So we'll click on that entry in the list so it has a check mark next to it, and then click the OK button at the bottom of the window. Note that we can also set the port and the board from the Tools menu in the menu bar. Now, we need to set the communication speed. We'll also do this from the Tools menu. We need to scroll down to near the bottom of the Tools menu and set the upload speed to be 115/200. Now we can verify that we have the correct port selected by opening the Arduino IDE serial monitor. To do this, we click the icon in the top right corner of the window that looks like a small magnifying glass. We'll verify that the serial monitor's communication speed is also set correctly by checking the drop-down menu at the far right side of the serial monitor window to make sure that the baud rate is also set to 115/200 and change it if not. Now we can verify that the Arduino IDE is connected to the EX-CSB1 by typing open angle brackets =, close angle brackets in the serial monitor's message box and then pressing return. We should see a response on the display that track A is configured as the main track and track B is configured as the programming track, unless for some reason you've changed it. Now we can verify our code to make sure that there are no errors. We do this by clicking the small round button with the check mark in the upper left corner of the IDE window. We'll see a message at the bottom of the screen that the IDE is compiling our sketch. If the IDE compiles the sketch without any errors, we can upload it to the EX-CSB1 command station. To upload our sketch to the command station, we'll click on the small round button with the arrow just to the right of the Verify button with the check mark. This will again compile our code and upload it to the EX-CSB1. We'll see the progress of the upload in the output window below. If for some reason the upload doesn't start, double check to make sure that the correct port is selected and the upload speed is set to 115/200. When the upload is complete, the EX-CSB1 will reboot. We should see the new version of our EX-CommandStation software indicated on the OLED display, along with the IP address assigned by our home Wi-Fi network router. We have now used the Arduino IDE to configure our DCC-EX EX-CSB1 command station. Customize EX-CommandStation in the Arduino IDE. Now let's look at an example how we can use the Arduino IDE to customize the EX-CommandStation sketch. This is one of the wonderful things about open source software. We can customize it to suit our needs. The model railroading community was instrumental in securing the rights of open source developers to create projects such as DCC-EX and JMRI. If you haven't already, be sure to watch my video number 5A, An Introduction to JMRI. If it wasn't for Bob Jacobson and his fight to keep JMRI free, DCC-EX as we know it might not exist today. So let's celebrate those rights and customize some code. On DCC-EX command stations based on the Arduino Mega, the EX-CommandStation software displays both the IP address and Wi-Fi port number we need to connect our Y-throttle and engine driver apps to DCC-EX to run our trains. However, on ESP32-based command stations, such as the EX-CSB1, EX-CommandStation displays only the IP address, not the port number. Even though the port number will almost certainly always be 2560, someone who has never used a DCC-EX command station, Y-throttle, or the engine driver app probably wouldn't know that. If we add that information to the display on our EX-CSB1, then anyone we invite over to run trains with us can get all the information they need to connect to the EX-CSB1 right from its display. We can find the code we need to copy in the Wi-Fi interface.cpp sketch. We'll select that sketch in the 3 dots menu. Then we'll scroll down to around line 374 and look for the line that starts with LCD open parenthesis 5, F open parenthesis double quote port. Let's select that entire line of text and copy it by pressing Command or Control-C. Now, we'll use the 3 dots menu again to go to the Wi-Fi ESP32.cpp sketch. We'll scroll down to line 220, just below the line that starts with LCD open parenthesis 7. This is the part of the sketch that runs when we connect DCC-EX to our home Wi-Fi network, which is called Station Mode. You can learn all about Station Mode and its alternative, Access Point Mode, in my video number 4D, Configuring DCC-EX Wi-Fi. We'll click at the beginning of line 220, then press Enter or Return to insert a blank line. We can then paste the LCD5 port code we copied from the Wi-Fi interface.cpp sketch. We also want to change the 5 after LCD parenthesis to a 7. When we're done, we need to make sure it looks exactly like this, with the capital and lowercase letters as shown and a semicolon at the end of the line. Now, on line 219 above, we need to change the 7 after LCD open parenthesis to a 6. Now, when we are in station mode, DCC-EX will display the IP address on line 6 of the display and the port number on line 7. Now let's scroll down to around line 273 to the part of the sketch that runs in access point mode. We'll again press Enter or Return to insert a blank line after the line that prints the IP address and paste the port code we copied earlier. We'll again change the 5 to a 7. Then, on the previous line, we'll change the 7 to a 6. Then 2 lines up from that, we'll change the 6 to a 5. And 2 more lines up, we'll change the 5 to a 4. Now, when we are in access point mode, DCC-EX will display its Wi-Fi address on line 4 of the display, the Wi-Fi password on line 5, the IP address on line 6 of the display, and the port number on line 7. When we're done, we can upload our new code to the EX-CSB1 command station. We have now created our own custom version of EX-CommandStation, and our EX-CSB1 will display on the OLED screen all the information we need to connect our Y-throttle and engine driver apps to DCC-EX. All aboard! We'll want to keep track of any changes we make to the EX-CommandStation software so we can make them again the next time we update to a newer version. And there are lots of other little tweaks that we can make to the EX-CommandStation code to change what information is shown on the display and even how we run our trains. But we're nearing the end of our shift, so we'll save that for next time. Right now, let's go run some trains.
Yeah, come on down to the BN, let's throw light over. Signal indication BN, thanks.
What's next? Customize DCC-EX EX-CommandStation. In my next video, we'll look at how to customize the DCC-EX EX-CommandStation code, as I show you some other ways to modify the information that EX-CommandStation displays on the screen. We'll also look at an example of how we can modify EX-CommandStation to add a new way to control our trains. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss those upcoming videos, and check this video's description for links to my other videos, including my video series on assembling a DCC-EX command station and my series on using JMRI's Decoder Pro app to control our trains. Life is a journey and a train runs through it. Sometimes the grade is level and sometimes the climb is steep. But every turn brings something new to see, and the view from the top is a sight to behold. So hop on board and enjoy the ride. Until then, thanks for watching. Well, Scratchy, did you have a nice break? No, they never are long enough, are they? All aboard!